Welcome to Chef Factory's Quick Start video tutorial series. On this video, we're going to talk about how to call SQL functions using the Chef Factory framework. This video builds upon previous videos. So if you haven't watched the previous videos in the series, I recommend you stop this video and do so now. So we're using the same example that we have been using for the past few videos. We have added an extra controller called the customer price controller, and we have added an extra view called the customer price index view. So let's see what we have so far. Let's fire up our application and take a look. I have also added an extra link to our main page pointing towards our new view called price for customer. So I created a very simple HTML form with a couple of drop downs. One shows a list of customers and the other one shows a list of stock items. So when we click the calculate button, nothing happens because we haven't hooked up yet the call to the SQL function. In the Chef Factory framework, SQL functions are generated similar to stored procedures, which we talked about in the previous video. So if we take a look at the entities, we're going to notice that for the function, an entity was generated that represents the parameters that we need to pass into the function. And the naming convention is similar to that of the stored procedures. It's the name of the function, lower dash, and the word request. Very similar to what we talked about in the previous videos about stored procedures. So now let's take a look. Let's hook up the call so we can call this function and populate our screen. So let's go to the customer price controller. I have already created a method or an action that is going to take in a customer price model that I created just for this purpose of populating the screen. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a request to pass in to our function. So I create a new instance of the calculate customer price lower dash request. Then I pass in the customer ID, which is one of the parameters that the function takes from the model, meaning it comes from the HTML. Then I pass in the stock item ID, which is the second parameter this function takes in, and I take this also from the HTML view. And then finally, I have a pricing date because there's some complex logic inside this particular function that calculates the price based on the date, based on the customer and the promotions or sales available for that particular date and customer. So we pass in the pricing date, and we're basically passing the date of now. Now the second step is to actually call our function and pass in a request object. I already have a line of code here which is very similar to what we did for our stored procedures. We basically call in the repository, we pass in the data model name, which we called appdb, then we call the schema name, which is website in this case. That's the schema name in the database. And then we use the keyword called functions, and under functions we're going to have a collection of functions available to us in the system. And as you can see, we have one function available right now, the calculate customer price. So we're calling the calculate customer price function and we're passing in our request. This particular function, once we hover over it, we realize that it returns a decimal, or actually a decimal that is a nullable decimal, and that's the result. So what we want to do at this point is assign the result to our model that we're going to pass to the view, to the HTML view right here, so that we can read it in the screen. So let's see what the effect of this is on the screen. Let's fire up our application again, and let's click on the price for customer view. So let's choose a different customer, and then let's choose a different article or stock item. Then hit calculate price. So you can see now we've got a price for this item, $240. Let's change the article. This one is only $13. As you can see, we have already hooked up a call to a SQL function using the Sharp Factory framework. And that is it. That's how simple it is to call SQL functions using the Sharp Factory framework. For more information on how to add these functions or stored procedures or any objects to the model, I suggest you watch the first video in the series, in which we explain how to add different SQL artifacts to our model. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.